You ever get that sinking feeling when someone with power over you thinks you're too small to fight back? That's what my landlord thought. He smiled when he overcharged me, shrugged when I complained, and even told me, if you can't afford it, move out. But what he didn't know: I don't just take abuse. I study it. I document it. And eventually, I flip it. Because today, the same landlord who once bled me dry is writing me a rent check every single month. If you've ever dreamed of getting sweet, poetic justice on someone who thought they could walk all over you, then buckle up. This story is about greed, betrayal, and the kind of revenge that makes karma look like an amateur. So hit that like button, subscribe if you love justice served ice cold, and let's get into it. Trying to find my footing. I found this tiny apartment, nothing fancy, just one bedroom, peeling paint, creaky floors, but it was mine. Independence. The landlord? A man named Carl. Middle-aged, balding, the kind of guy who wore cheap suits but acted like he owned Wall Street. He shook my hand, smiled too wide, and said, "Don't worry, I take care of my tenants." At first, rent seemed fair. But then, month after month, Carl started tacking on extra charges. Water fees, maintenance surcharges, even hallway cleaning contributions. The thing is, this was a rundown building where the only cleaning I ever saw was me sweeping my own doorstep. Still, I paid. I told myself, he's the landlord, he must know what he's doing. Don't make waves. But the waves made me. One day, I ran into my downstairs neighbor, Mrs. Lopez, sweet old lady who'd been living there for 20 years. She casually mentioned her rent. It was almost half of what I was paying. My stomach dropped. I laughed nervously, thinking maybe her apartment was smaller. Nope, same layout. Same square footage. I asked around. Every other tenant? Paying less. Some. Much less. That's when it hit me. Carl wasn't just charging me more. He was singling me out, because I was young, new, and easy to intimidate. I confronted him. "Carl, why am I paying double what others are?" He smirked, leaned back in his chair, and said, "Because you agreed to it. You signed the lease. Don't like it? Move out." My fists clenched. I felt my chest burn. But he was right, I'd signed. He had me trapped. Or so he thought. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like Carl laughing. My heart pounded with that ugly mix of anger and helplessness. But then, something shifted. I remembered what my older brother once told me: people like Carl count on you staying ignorant. Knowledge is your weapon. So I researched. I spent hours digging into tenant laws, landlord obligations, rent control, city ordinances. And what I found? Carl wasn't just unethical. He was illegal. He'd been falsifying maintenance charges, pocketing money, and violating rent. I didn't just march back and scream at him. No, that would give him power. Instead, I documented everything. Every shady fee, every text message, every bogus receipt. I quietly contacted other tenants. At first, they were scared. Carl will evict us. But once I showed them proof, cold, undeniable proof, they were in. We formed a tenant association. We hired a lawyer. And together? We filed a lawsuit. Court day came. I'll never forget the sight of Carl walking in, smug, confident, like this was just a nuisance. But when the judge asked for evidence, I slid forward binders thicker than a phone book. Receipts, photos, testimonies. Tenant after tenant testified. And the moment the lawyer dropped the bomb, Carl had been illegally profiting for years, the smugness drained from his face like someone pulled the plug. The ruling? Carl was forced to pay back tens of thousands of dollars in damages and fines. But here's the twist: he couldn't afford it. His empire was built on squeezing tenants. Without that cash flow, he went bankrupt. The bank seized his properties, and put them up for auction. And guess who showed up with just enough savings, and a little help from a silent partner? Me. I bought the very building Carl once overcharged me in. The first time Carl came back, it was surreal. He walked up, eyes hollow, papers in hand. He avoided my gaze, but I could see the humiliation written all over him. Because now? Carl wasn't the landlord. He was a tenant. He signed the lease with shaking hands. And when he handed me that first rent check, I swear, I could feel every insult, every smirk, every ounce of arrogance dissolve into nothing. The man who once told me, if you can't afford it, move out, now lives under my roof. And every month, like clockwork, he pays me. That, my friends, is what I call justice. Sometimes, revenge isn't about yelling, screaming, or fighting. It's about patience. About turning knowledge into power. Carl thought he was untouchable. But the higher someone builds their house of lies, the harder it crashes when the truth shows up. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying act of revenge you've ever seen? And of course, subscribe for more stories where justice isn't just served, it's served with interest.